Hey, Nam.
Yo, what's up, Jeremy?
So I knew you were going to be the first one to pick something from DC, because I certainly was not. You are bringing us the Harley Quinn movie, Birds of Prey, the anticipation of Harley Quinn. No lie, I was actually avoiding this movie. For the listeners, the reason why I was avoiding this is because comic books were burning me out at the time. DC was just not popping anything good on their side. Like, everything was a dud to me at the time. And also, too, the Harley Quinn fever was going way too big that it tired me out. So I didn't really want to watch anything from Harley Quinn. I didn't want to watch anything from Joker. Nothing from DC. I think the last comic book movie in general was the Avengers Endgames. I don't want to say you championed this movie, but you did this like you did with Spider-Man to the multiverse. You really put it in the situation of, I promise you, it's not a waste of time. I like that movie. And I feel like that this one might be up that alley too. I trust your judgment on this, but at the same time, I was just burnt out. But why are you now putting this one out of all the other DCs you could have picked? Why this one?
My choice in this particular movie was because it really caught me off guard. And the reason why it caught me off guard is because I think a lot of us were like, do we really want a Birds of Prey movie? Do we really want a Harley Quinn solo movie? Because, I mean, we saw how she did in Suicide Squad, which I thought she did a good job. And I like the Harley Quinn character, but do I like the Harley Quinn character enough to watch a standalone movie? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is like when the original concept of Birds of Prey was coming out, we were thinking it was going to be the one where it was Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I honestly thought the first thing they were going to do was going to be a Poison Ivy and our Harley Quinn, because everybody knows from the Batman universe that those two were like the buddy, the Thelma and Louise.
I will be honest with you, it was the trailer that actually got me interested in the movie.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and go into the trailer.
Okay.
One of the few things about the trailer that really kind of hit me was it didn't seem like your typical superhero movie to start with was one of the biggest draws to me. The other thing is that Ewan McGregor plays the Black Mask, who was a character that you and I talked about like privately amongst each other about possibly having in the Christopher Nolan movies, because we thought that he would be real enough to be actually a villain in that movie, and we would kind of be curious to see how Christopher Nolan could take that guy and kind of twist it. Seeing Ewan McGregor play the Black Mask for one, and next to see him be a villain in a movie was something that of real interest to me. I think the trailer, it looked like he was trying to have fun, like they were just going to have fun with it.
I like the choice of music. I think that was one of the big draws, because I seen those kind of trailers where it's just a bunch of people just wrecking stuff. I like how the trailer tried to be fun with it, with the music, because I like that song. The song they picked for that one, I haven't heard that edition, because that's not the Bjork edition. I know the Bjork one, and it's like the weirdest song ever. And of course, it's by Bjork. What do you expect? So I don't know if this is the original one or this is the one doing a cover of the Bjork one. I don't know. Either way, it's an interesting song, and I think it was a good pick for this trailer just because I think it set the mood. This is a weird movie. And I like how you couldn't guess what's going on. You couldn't watch that trailer and just say, I feel like I can predict what's going to happen. It went from crazy to Material Girl. You got this crazy fun house of all this stuff. Black Mask is a new style of Black Mask. Joker is nowhere to be found, which I am kind of happy about that, because
which is a positive.
Because I think if Joker's in it, then we're gonna get the mad love, which is not what I want. I think this needs to be her and another group of people, and Joker, no, he could be referenced, but nowhere to be found. And I hope watching this whole movie that he's just in reference. He's nowhere to be found in this film. I am intrigued by what the other characters are going to do in this movie, because it's Harley Quinn. How much airtime is the other characters are going to be here, or are they just there to kind of make Harley Quinn shine even more? I'm intrigued by it. I hope that you won't fail me. You know, you got me with the Spider-Man, so hopefully you can go 2-0.
Oh, this ain't definitely as good as Spider-Man, but I think it's a good movie.
With that, We're going to take a break, and we come back. We're going to have our discussion about how we feel about the Harley Quinn movie, and spoilers ahead, so be prepared for that. We'll be right back. And we're back for visiting Bird of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie. Before we get to the nitty-gritty of how badass these ladies are, Nam, would you be so kindly, as the underboss, give our listeners some fun facts?
I like how the fact that you said, "Would you be so kindly?" Would you be so kindly? Do I look like that dude to you? We ain't a video game, Jeremy. We ain't a video game.
But it sounds so nice every time.
All right, so Birds of Prey, the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, rated R. If you guys didn't already know, and if you didn't know, it would take you about 2 seconds into the movie to find out. This movie, released February 7th, 2020, was a runtime of 109 minutes, had a budget of $82 to $100 million, and did a box office of $201.8 million.
So it did okay. It did okay. It didn't fail.
Yeah,
but it didn't do successful either. It was during the pandemic.
DC didn't really have a good following, and I think the bomb of Suicide Squad was just an absolute terror and horror for this particular movie. Margot Robbie was the headrunner of this movie. Was pretty determined about making a standalone Harley Quinn movies. For me personally, I think this one's an underrated gem.
I mentioned a couple days ago while watching the movie, and I text you that I think DC has a direction, and I think the direction is giving these characters a little more wiggle room by maybe creating this rated R universe of these characters in that way. And the only reason I brought that up because the Snyder Cut, that was rated R. And I feel like that the rated R for some of these characters gives them a little bit more room. Am I speaking for every superhero? No. But for a character like Harley Quinn, Joker, mainly more of the anti-hero villains, the R universe seems like it works very well for DC. I like this direction a lot better.
With the R rating at the very least, whether it's wiggle room or not, I think the characters are just darker in the DC universe than they are in the Marvel universe. It's a lot edgier, I guess.
I always said that Marvel always had the heroes, but I think DC had the villains.
Yeah.
And
villains can't be villains unless they actually are free to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. So going into the mind that is Harley Quinn, my first question I want to ask you is, through her journey, I feel like there was anything that she was probably lying about?
Yeah. I would say you would have to second guess everything. It's the unreliable narrator who's going to tell the story, and you have to question whether or not all of it is true. You also have to question how she would actually know half the stuff too, as well. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I think every villain is a liar in some form, especially as psychotic as we know the path Harley Quinn has gone through, from being a troubled child where her dad didn't want her anymore, to going to, I think boarding school is not the word I want to use, but she went to a Christian nun school.
She grew up in orphanage.
Orphanage, after being abandoned, to going school, getting a PhD, then throwing that all away when she became a therapist to the Joker and then gets involved. So her mind is so crazy that you can't go into this movie thinking that everything she says is true, because some of this stuff can be all in her head. You can only go by what she's telling us. So it's hard to call her out on stuff, because maybe that's the way she portrayed it as. And one of the scenes that got me was the police station, when it was time to look for Cassandra. You find out she is center of this plot. My question was, on the police station, how come nobody pulled a gun during that whole scene? She's walking around shooting this bean gun, and no one cared to really pull out a gun. Yeah. My mindset of that was like, that's a little bit of a lie, because she believed that she just went in all badass. But I feel like that it was more to that. And then she gets to the jail cell, and now she's in this fight. It doesn't ruin the movie whatsoever, but it's just that where is that imagination starting and when is that realism start coming back in as she's going back and forth in her mind? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's the part that actually makes the movie too, is the fact that you're in her mind the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that sets the tone of the movie. If you're going to do a Harley Quinn movie, you have to do it to where it's manic and all over the place. That's who she is. That's what you expect out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And just like this movie, it was completely all over the place. Did that kind of mess with you a little bit as far as the mixed up timeline, or did that bother you in it?
It didn't bother me, but I would say, honestly, I actually like the first half better than the second half of this movie because of the intertwine. I like how the beginning was going, and then I feel like that first story kind of got thrown out of the way to focus on a totally different story. I'm talking about it was really focused on Harley Quinn, then it really shifted to the Birds of Prey.
Like, I wondered that. Here's my opinion. Do you think that when you started getting a lot of Harley the first half of that movie, they were worried that there might be an oversaturation of Harley, and then they wanted to show off the other characters too, to let you know that this is more than just a Harley movie?
That is a good. That is a great question, and it's a possibility of thinking. I'm going to reverse it to you and ask you: do they think that Harley Quinn can't carry a movie by herself?
I think there might be an oversaturation with just like the whole manic aspect of Harley Quinn all the way through in the entire movie would work.
Okay.
I think there has to be some characters who are different and level-headed. Because, I mean, you can have the crazy persons, but you got to have, like, that variety of different characters to be like, so who can I relate to? The closest person that anyone could probably relate to is Black Canary.
Okay.
You can kind of relate to Renee Montoya, but then again, you're not a police officer, you're not this and that. But if you're the Black Canary, if you were just stuck in those situations, I think more people would kind of relate to her as like a regular person. There's nothing that Harley did that is really relatable to me but one thing. And that one thing, Jeremy, is the most important question in this entire movie. Would you eat that egg sandwich?
Yes.
Do you have love for that egg sandwich like I did? I wanted that egg sandwich.
It looked good. It looked good. Yeah.
It did.
No one makes it better than Sal.
No one makes it better than Sal. But that's what I'm saying. I think there might be too much Harley Quinn. And I don't think she could. What do you think?
I think the opposite. I honestly believe that Harley Quinn could have carried this movie without the Birds of Prey. And the reason why is the reason why I like the first half. That the moment her and Joker broke up, her immunity disappeared. And that's where I liked it. It was where, like, she is up for grabs now. Anyone that she pissed off, it's all out war to go out. It's her against the world. And that's what I wanted. And I feel like that was my theme for this whole movie. There was a lot of I wants in this movie. Now, I'm not saying that these characters can't intertwine with her, but I still wanted more of everybody going after her. It would have been cool to see the Birds of Prey witness protections with her as she goes a little crazier, because I like the fact that we're getting all these crazy guys going after her. I love the fact that they pause and show you, hey, here's the reason why they're after her. This is what she did to them.
How she was just like, so I did this and I did this.
Yeah.
Done this.
Yeah, and I love that. The fact that, like, one, I'm so glad Joker didn't show up at all. I'm glad there was just a picture with a knife stab on his face. But I like the fact that, like, hey, Joker can't protect you anymore. And I'm like, that clicked in my head when I watched it. It's like, oh, yeah, that makes so much sense. The reason why. It's like, that shows how powerful Joker was. And I love the fact that, like, what are you going to do now? You're on your own. And I was more hyped to see how she would get out of the situation, not leading to go get a diamond. Yeah, so...
not changing up the story to where she has to go get a diamond and the Black Mask is kind of taking over as the villain.
Yeah, I still wanted to be more focused on her, but maybe the crew had to protect her.
It's also a sneaky way of doing an origin story for the Birds of Prey.
Yes.
I like that aspect. This is what DC should have did with the previous movies, but they were too impatient with it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if you're going to set up something, set it up. Find a way to set it up and set it up to where it makes sense to us. We say it's the Harley Quinn movie because it is her mind. Ultimately, it's the origin story of the Birds of Prey. Getting the chance to meet all the Birds of Prey, whether it's Renee Montoya, the Huntress, or Crossbow Killer. Canary and Cassandra Cain.
Well, Cassandra's not part of it, right? She ended up being an apprentice of Harley.
And some other things about Cassandra Cain is Batgirl in this movie, and she is Cassandra Cain.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to know about that a little bit later on. A young Asian girl that eventually becomes Batgirl for like a little bit.
Yeah, it is interesting that we're getting a mixture of old characters from the old and then some for the new 52. As Huntress is the new 52 that a lot of people are not familiar with. The old Huntress is a lot different because the mafia relationship. They just made a new Black Canary. She is not a new 52 or old.
Their own version of Black Canary.
Yeah. And then Renee is Renee. I didn't do enough research on Renee, but I think Renee is just the same.
Renee Montoya is actually a big prominent character in the DC universe. One of my favorite characters later on that I didn't know about, she played JLU. She was the Question. She later on becomes the Question for a little bit.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Who was inspired by Rorschach from The Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
She is kind of a predominant character in her string, both of which you and I are not familiar with.
I'm sorry to say this, but I was not clicking with the Bird of Prey. I was just not feeling. Yeah, I just wasn't feeling them through this whole movie. But I feel like they were more in the way. But I get it because they were there for helping with the plot device. None of them really click with me. I feel like they had their moments more towards the end. Feel like that, yes, we had the Huntress crossbow killer. Feel like she came in too late for me to really care anymore. I like Black Canary for what she was. It took me a second to question, like, are we going to get a scream or something at one point? When is this going to happen? Or is this happening at all? And then it finally happened, but I feel like it came too late. Renee was the biggest letdown for me. I feel like it would have been just fine without her and just had Huntress and Canary with Harley protecting the girl. Like, Renee's there more of the cop story and for the diamond and getting Black Mask. But other than that, I feel like they could have figured that out, or they could have done another story wrap around Black Mask with that without Renee. But maybe I'm just not understanding the Birds of Prey. It just wasn't clicking for me for these three characters, sadly enough.
I really wanted to see more of Huntress. Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Very beautiful woman.
Absolutely. Even since Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is also an archive, you can check that out.
Totally did not put two and two together. She was in that movie until like later. I was like, oh, that is her. Yeah. Good for her.
The Huntress. I think she did an excellent job in this movie. In fact, I wanted to see so much more of her just because she to me was VA, but also she was funny in this movie.
She was funny because her character was trying too hard. That was the comedy.
She was already cool, but she was trying to be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'd feel the same way too. If you don't know the difference between a crossbow and a bow and arrow, then you really, I'd be pointing it out too.
And who doesn't do the mirror thing? With what would you say? Someone come up to you?
The one person I didn't really connect with, Renee Montoya. With her, I get why she was in the movie. Her character, it didn't bother me or deter me from the movie. Canary part, when you talked about the scream, you and I know obviously she does this because we watched Justice League Unlimited. The thing is it came at such a weird time, and then it was so weird to see her do it because it was Ex Machina that was just there to save them. Oh, so we do have superpowers in this world. Okay.
Yeah.
We were going all realistic all the way through this movie. Because even the Huntress shows no superpowers. The fact that she just was a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Canary just comes out with a magical power. You knew she could scream. In the bar scene, she broke the glass. She could sing high pitches, but you just didn't know she had that ability. Superpower just brought up out of nowhere.
Yeah, because I feel like there was a lot of moments she could have put it out early in the movie.
Yeah.
But like you say, 7 a.m. was just kind of like, well, why now? You could have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, and it also seems off-putting, too.
Yes.
Because it seems unfair. All the other characters have no powers. Roman Sionis, the Black Mask, had no secret power.
No.
Victor Zask had no secret power.
Nope.
I think it would have been nicer to have her show in a situation where you were dealing with another supervillain.
Yeah, or if she is about to die, and all she
Yeah.
did was scream. That makes more sense. Like, she's calling out for help, and she discovered the power right then and there. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that's more
Yeah, like-
believable than, hey guys, we're stuck. I'm gonna try this idea.
Victor Zask. I didn't know that was Victor Zask until I actually watched this movie.
Okay.
I was gonna say, was Victor Zask a surprise to you in this movie? And what did you think about his portrayal?
I wanted Zaz to be more psychotic because he wasn't psychotic enough in this movie for me. I like what they were going, but I wish it was evolving as it went. It almost feels like that they would not let him be crazier than Roman. They had to make him more the calm one. When he was doing his tortures, it felt like it was more amusing for Roman, not for Zaz. I don't feel like Zaz was having fun doing it in that way. I feel like he's just doing it because Roman wanted that. He enjoys the face cutting off, not Zaz. So I wanted Zaz to be more psychotic. That's like, can I cut his face? Can I cut their face off? I wanted to seem that he enjoys that job to the point where he just gets a little bit more sadistic as it goes, because I feel like the rug pulled under him when they were at the rendezvous point towards the end of the movie. And then he's showing all his marks, like, hey, look how many scars. I'm like, that's awesome, man. But like, I wish that was shown earlier to give us some more ideas. Like, this guy is crazy. And I guess I wanted more out of that. I want him to be more psychotic. There's no way to me that you could be this level-headed and you have those many marks already. If this was your earlier work, you kill somebody and then we saw you put a mark on you, all right, adding one to the collection, that would have been a little bit more interesting. But since they didn't do that, they were holding his character back to not upstage Roman. I like what I saw. I wanted more.
I think Victor Zask was a good addition to this movie. Actually, a surprising addition to this movie. I don't know Victor Zask's story all that well. I know what he is from Arkham games that we played. But I think there was a lot of subtle things that Zask did that was insane. And I agree with you. I think they didn't want to outdo Roman Sionis, which actually was a pleasant surprise because I didn't imagine the Black Mask being like that. Like, I always just imagined Black Mask being kind of like a spoiled kid who was dark and calculated. The portrayal of Roman Sionis in this movie was completely different than what I would have expected. With Zask, though, I think he did subtle things in this movie that was very crazy. He was also staying calm where he needed to stay calm. Actually, this portrayal reminded me of Looney Bin Jim of Punisher Warzone.
Okay.
When I watched this portrayal, I'm just like, okay, so Looney Bin Jim was a made-up character in Warzone. You guys kind of are like each other. Crazy, but not really like superbly out of nowhere Jim Carrey crazy. You knew he would cut Cassandra open to get the diamond out. Like, he was smart, and he figured things out really quick. He did show the fact he would do anything, no matter what, to get the mission done. In some ways, I kind of wanted to see him go rogue.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean by evolved. Zaz never ever went rogue, and I was expecting that. He doesn't want to let down Roman, so he is going to try to take care of something himself and then surprise Roman later or something. Those kind of moments, and we never got that.
We also never got the relationship between Roman and Zask, other than that they're like BFFs.
Right.
I mean, it's almost to the point where you would think that Zask is in love with Roman.
Right.
You're not quite sure what that relationship is. We know that he's extremely loyal, though.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
That or he's just afraid of Roman.
Which could be true, too, because Roman was actually a pretty crazy character, man. So what did you think about Roman Sionis?
I'm conflicted. I like the character that he is. I don't think he was Black Mask to me, but I like the character that he is. He's almost like a Jim Carrey. You did a great job. I didn't like the way the character was being portrayed. I think that he was more crazy, and I wish I saw a little bit more of a split personality. The reason I say that is because what's the point of having the Black Mask if it's not really being used? I just feel like there should have been two worlds. Like, when he's outside in public, he rocks the mask. When you're inside his world, like the clubs and all stuff, you see him inside. I want a little bit of both. And I feel like we get this moment that he's wearing the black mask. I feel like it's a little too late. We already know this side of you. What's the point of the black mask? What's the point of telling us you collect all these masks? It wasn't your look at the whole movie. It was just more of, here's this guy that just can't accept no. And I like that. Like you said, he's like a kid. You can tell that he was very scared too at the same time. He was scared that people think he's paranoid. We've seen that before when he finds out that Harley Quinn had Cassandra and he was like, how come she hasn't brought the girl back yet? And then he's tripping because he thinks somebody over there is laughing at him. And it has nothing to do with him, but he just assumes. It's like, you making fun of me? I like that mindset because he's already gone. The way he portrayed that version of Black Mask. I wish you laid a little bit more into rocking that mask a little bit more. Maybe having the mask on when it's time for torture, because maybe you just like to have the mask on for that. Give me a reason why the mask is there. And I'm pretty sure maybe you disagree with what I have to say about that, but I just feel like, do we really need a black mask? I was fine with this character the way it was without a black mask. Like, you could have been just a made-up character.
That's a fine assessment. I completely get it. I don't really know too much canon on the black mask. I know where his black mask came from. That's about as much canon as I really know.
Okay.
The mask itself came from the coffin of his dad. He made a mask out of it to wear. Whether or not he put on the black mask or not didn't matter.
I 100% disagree that he should have died in this movie.
I agree with you 100%. That was the part of this movie that I thought was kind of a bummer because of the way he went out, because I felt like the way he came in was so strong. And I think the black mask going off the side of the harbor and actually seeing him blow up.
Yeah.
There's no question that dude is dead, you guys.
Yeah. I really wanted him to carry, if the next Batman series, that black mask gets introduced again. That would have been amazing to see him get carried over to that.
I would have loved to have seen him in the Robert Pattinson's Batman, because, I mean, they have all 600 villains in that movie. And, I mean, they could still use it as an excuse, though, because we are still in Harley's head, so we don't know if he blew up like a firecracker, man.
Yeah, he blew up like a cartoon. Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he still is alive, and they could play off the fact that Harley was just imagining things. The next thing, go back to it, and she just like they show what really happens, and she can just kind of stare off in the middle of nowhere and just be like, "Huh."
Yeah.
Kind of like how you and I do when we do something stupid. We're just like, "Huh."
Huh.
There's hope for Roma Sionis. I think Roma Sionis, to me, actually kind of helped make this movie.
Yeah, it definitely helped me, since the Bird of Prey wasn't helping me. Like, I'm glad that they had someone almost at the same level as Harley craziness. I think you had to have someone match Harley in that craziness. I just don't get the loyalty part with the Asian market clerk. I forgot his name, where Harley Quinn was hiding out at. Like, all of a sudden, he just sold her out because it's because of money. And I'm like, that's kind of unexpected now all of a sudden. After you just had a talk with Huntress.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It was just coming out of nowhere to me. Like, and then all of a sudden, all these villains know where you're at and all that. I don't know. That was just kind of weird. And also, too, did anybody kill that guy that shot a thing through the window? Because the moment that happened, he disappeared. Like, we don't know what happened to him. They didn't show him die or anything. It was like, all right, because she just walks out, right, and goes talks to him. But it's like, what happened to the guy that shot the thing in the window?
Yeah.
Was it a drop? That confused me, dude. That confused me.
Bruce probably took care of it.
Yeah. Part of you think that Bruce saw the whole thing and just didn't say anything.
The Asian guy turning on her for money, I'm not surprised on that one at all.
Okay.
I think everyone's got a price. I think most people who probably came in to look for her was just like, where is she? And they just wanted to kill her. So he was just like, I don't know. What's in it for me? Yeah. I don't think anyone decided to give him anything other than this time around, where they were just like, we're going to give you everything. And next, of course, Huntress walked up to me too and was demanding all that stuff. I'd probably tell her too, because, I mean, Huntress looks like she was going to kill me. Plus, he knew everything about everything except for he didn't know anything about the Huntress.
That could be scary.
Then once he finds out, he's like, I'm Huntress. So he's like, all right. So Huntress, Crossbow, the person that's killed like every mafia person that I know of. At that point, you're just like, all right, whatever you need. Or put two and two together. The actors trained and did all their stunts in this movie, so I think a lot of the scenes, you can tell that they did everything in the movie. So I don't know if it was going to be super intricate, because it's different when you have a stunt double actually do it, because they're trained to do a lot of the stuff. I think the actresses did a wonderful job in their action scenes, because I enjoyed most of the action scenes, and the fact that they did it themselves, kudos to them.
Kudos to all the victims. You did a good job playing victims. Especially when Black Canary had to say Harley Quinn. I don't know how many times your head is going to get through that door.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
All right, Nam, are we ready for the awards?
Yeah, sure. Let's go to the awards.
All right. My award is called the Roman Holiday Award. So best moments at Roman. I only have two, but the two moments to me was the death of Mr. KO and his family or crew or whatever when they were being hung upside down and Victor was slicing off the faces. For a moment, Roman had a heart until he saw snot on that girl's nose. And he's like, nope, can't do it. Cut it off. The other moment is he thought this girl from across the way was laughing at and made her do a table dance while another guy had to cut her dress off. It's happening. She goes slow dance with Black Canary. And it's like, okay. And so those are only the really two biggest ones for me.
Out of the two choices, I actually really enjoyed that second one, where he made the girl stand up and then made the dude cut off her dress.
Yeah.
He just went to Canary and slow dance. Just showed the epitome of range that Ewan McGregor has as an actor.
Yeah.
And how much of the villain this guy is. So I'm going to go with the second choice just because he made me believe in that particular character. And who doesn't want to do that to somebody who you think is laughing at you, you know?
Yeah.
If you had the power to do it, you know?
I'm agreed. I'm on the second one. Take us to the next segment.
Rotten Tomatoes is the final segment of our little show. It's where we sit there and we look at their reviews and see whether we ourselves personally lean more towards the critics, or if we have the same opinions as the audience. On Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave this a 78% certified fresh out of 428 reviews. And the audience, you people, everyone out there, you guys out of 10,000 people gave it a 78% as well. I think this is the first time we run into this, Jeremy.
Well, thanks, 2020.
This movie is certified fresh. Are you a dick like the critics? Are you are you like the good people like the audience?
I'm a dick. I'm a dick. I'm with the critics.
You're with the critics on this 78%. So I go with the audience. One more for the good guy. I think this movie is great. And as far as a movie that completely exceeded my expectations, Jeremy, why don't you let everyone know what the deal is?
Plain and simple, this is part of the In-Game Boss program network of game and other variety shows. As you know, we have description of different links to all our listening spots. If you are on Facebook and Twitter, remember we have a Linktree. You can link there and it will take you to other quick access to all our listenings and whatnot. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Tell us if you like the show, you did not like the show, answer some of the questions that we asked during the show. If you enjoy this content and other contents on this, please don't hesitate to subscribe. That will really help us out. And of course, follow us on Twitter at ProgramIn, capital P, capital E. And we would love to see you there. We have more movies on the way. Nam, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Ramona Flowers, please call me back. Please notice me.
And thank you so much. And we will catch you on our next episode.